Hi guys, and welcome to another batch of your replays. Now this morning I sat down and watched 15 replays that you guys had sent in, and I picked out the two I liked the most. But these aren't them. No, these are very unusual replays. So I'm going to be bringing you another video with the two replays that gave me most to talk about on another video. It'll probably be out tomorrow. But these two games were just very unusual. So the two games today are very unusual. We're kicking off with this game in the AT-15A by XIDuffman73. And the AT-15A is actually a tank I'm playing quite a bit at the moment because I'm planning to bring out a review for it quite soon. But I was just interested to see what other players could do in an AT-15A. Now, as I say, this would not have come top of the top 2 out of 15 games sent in, but it's really unusual because Duffman picks up an absolute bucket load of medals in this game. Lots and lots of medals. But he spends most of the game sitting in J4. So a lot of stationary play in the AT-15A, but it's a slow tank destroyer. What do you want? Lots of medals, very unusual game, and what I'd like you to do is keep an eye on the hit log because he receives a lot of hits in this game, and the AT-15A is a very armored tank destroyer. Slow, but it's armored, and the armor really stands up in this particular game. Really, there's not much to talk about, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the game on ×2 speed. And I'm just going to stop talking and play some music instead. Have fun, and keep an eye on that hit log. So yeah, don't let anyone tell you the AT-15A doesn't have armor. Wow, what a bucket load of medals for a game where Duffman basically stayed in J4. Cool-headed, Spartan, Steel Wall, Confederate, and believe it or not, he picked up a patrol duty. Yeah, you don't get very many patrol duty medals in AT-15As, and you get even less patrol duty medals in AT-15As if you spend most of the time sitting in J4 and Malinovka, but yeah, it was just a really, really unusual game. I thought you guys might want to see it. So Duffman finished with a very, very respectable 1032 XP, 1472 damage done with just the one kill, fired 17, hit 14, pen 9, but the really, really impressive thing here was he received 24 hits. 24 hits, and 20 of them were non-penetrations. So basically he lost quite a lot of his health, most of his health, just from 4 penetrations, 20 bounces. Damage blocked by armor 3,575, and he was a tier 7 and a tier 8 game. He spotted 4, damaged 7, destroyed 1, did almost 2,000 assistance damage, and finished up, because he did fire a little bit of premium in that tank in the game, he finished up with 6,344 credits profit on a standard account. Yeah, really, really, really unusual game. And I was smiling while I was watching this replay first time round, and I thought you guys might like to see it, especially as the review is going to be coming to the channel fairly soon. The second replay today is from SFCGunny313. I'm just going to call you Gunny if you don't mind. This is a very, very unusual game as well. It's in the T29 here on Lakeville, but the first thing you'll notice is it's pretty much an all tier 7 game. Very, very unusual. Only 3 tanks in the entire game aren't tier 7s, they're tier 6s. You've got a Hellcat, a Type 64, and a T37. But the other really, really unusual thing you'll notice about this lineup is the fact that almost every single tank in this game is a tier 7 heavy. Yep, the only 3 tanks that aren't heavy tanks in this game are the 3 tier 6s, the Hellcat, the Type 64, and the T37. Everyone else is in a tier 7 heavy tank. We're just going to go, but this is a really, really unusual game, as I say, because it's pretty much all tier 7, and because it's pretty much the ultimate battle of the heavies. All tier 7 heavies, pretty much. No RT to worry about, almost no TDs, just that poor Hellcat, and 1 scout on either side. So, really, really, this is heavy tank warfare at its absolute best. Gunny is going to be working the middle, he's going to be working the coast road, and someone is getting spots off already. That may have been Gunny. IS taking the low road across. Gunny gets quite unlucky and tracks the IS. But yeah, the reason I wanted to show you this video today is just to talk about something I touched on in a video in the past, which is the XP and credits that players earn. So some nice blind shots by Gunny here, but there is something called the Team XP coefficient, and basically everyone on your team, no matter how well or how badly they perform, get credits and they get mainly XP from the damage that is done to the enemy team. The more damage you do to the enemy team, the more benefit or the more XP your team earns. So because this is such a heavy game, because almost every single tank in this game is a heavy tank, that means there are lots more hit points available. There's just so many hit points on either side. You know, when you've got something like a heavy tank, for example, Gunny is in a T29, he's got 1,250 hit points. Now, assuming he got into a game with 3 tier 7 RT, well, a tier 7 RT only has about 400 hit points, 450, maybe 500. So Gunny is basically in a tank 1 T29s, that's the equivalent of maybe 3 RT, or 2 light tanks. So there are a lot more hit points available when there are more heavy tanks per team, because heavy tanks are usually the tanks that get the most hit points. And as I say, in this match, everything is a heavy tank. So there are so many hit points available in this game. A little bit unfortunate with that shot on the T29 in town. But Gunny is just sniping. Most of the heavies, well, there's pretty much, I was going to say most of the heavies have gone into town, but there's nothing but heavies. A lot of heavies in the valley. And there are still enemy tanks taking the low road into town even at this late stage. So, Gunny obviously has better view range than the enemy T29. Doing a nice amount of damage. Gunny's on 1000 damage at the moment. Gets spotted by the Type 64. But two tanks in this game get huge amounts of XP. Very, very unusual. Usually it's one player that dominates and gets a huge amount of XP. But in this particular case, two tanks do. And that's because there's so many hit points, or there are so many hit points on the battlefield.
Enemy armor is hit.
So, just going to work. There's really not a lot to comment on here.
Penetration.
And while Gunny is sniping and a lot of his other tanks are brawling, I've always said if you're not shooting the tanks, or if you're not, if there are shots, or if there are tanks there to shoot, go, take them. As long as you're shooting tanks, or as long as you're spotting tanks, you're making a contribution to the game.
Enemy armor is damaged.
Black Prince, best player on the enemy team, nice shot into his side. But yeah, if you're sitting in the coast road, or if Gunny was sitting here and there were no targets, he wasn't shooting his gun, then I'd question his positional sense. But as I say, if there are tanks available, if you're shooting, if you're spotting, you're making a contribution. And Gunny realized right there that he wasn't making a contribution. There were no more tanks left to shoot. So he's on the move. He's moving his tank into a place where he can get more damage done. More assistance damage. Moving up to do some flanking here. And he finds an AMX M445. Now this poor AMX M4 is using the stock gun, unfortunately, for him. Gunny is using the final gun on the T29. Forgot to show you the stats. 198mm of penetration, 320 alpha damage. And having said that, the AMX M445 puts a huge shot into Gunny. So the AMX was obviously using, I think it was the 105 as well, not quite sure, but Gunny takes a big hit. But what's interesting about this gun is once you unlock it on the T29, it's the same gun that's used on the T34. Although there is talk, maybe they've done it already, of buffing the gun on the T34, but what it means is basically if you fully upgrade the T29, you've got the gun to use on the T34 when you unlock it. But Gunny has flanked, he's gotten to the rear of the enemy tanks. His team have won town, just a Type 64 left over there. And Gunny is on almost, there we go, 3,000 damage so far. Still doing work, and what I like here is that Gunny is using the wreck. He's using a wreck here to stay angled, to stay hull down. It's the wreck of the Hellcat he's using. But American tanks like to be played hull down. That's what Gunny's doing here. Gets a nice shot into the IS. And that's pretty much it. Just the Type 64 left on the enemy team now. Unfortunately, Gunny's team cap out and they never actually do find the Type 64, so I'll probably end it right there. So Gunny titled this replay T29 Ace in the Battle of the Heavy Tanks, and it was just such an unusual matchup, such an unusual game. Really enjoyed it. He picked up an ace tanker, he also picked up a Confederate in that game, and he didn't finish top. Pintayu had an incredibly good game in the T29, 5,000 damage, 5 kills, finished up with 1734. That was an easy ace tanker. Must have been one heck of a game. Would have liked to have seen that from Pintayu's point of view. SFCGunny had an amazing game too. He did 3,622 damage. A couple of blind shots and an IS in the early part of the game brought his damage total up. 3 kills, and he finished up with 1509 XP. Another huge XP total. Very unusual to see two players getting games with XP totals as high as that. But it just shows how the XP builds up. It's all about the damage, and when there are so many hit points on the battlefield due to the fact that there were so many heavy tanks, it was pretty much the top 4 players on Gunny's team had incredibly good XP total results. Even the guy who came last, the KV3, unfortunately, who didn't manage to get any shots in, didn't kill anyone, didn't damage anyone, he still earned 341 XP. He would have finished 4th on the losing team with 341 XP, even though he did 0 damage. It just shows how the XP coefficient works. When you're playing World of Tanks, if you're on even the winning team and losing team, if your team does damage, the more damage your team does to the enemy team, the more XP everyone gets. And as I say, even the guys who came last earned so much more XP than most of the enemy team. The KV3 would have earned more than 12 of the enemy team, even though he did 0 damage, 0 kills. Even the T29 here did 0 damage, 0 kills, earned 535 XP. More XP than the Black Prince, who unfortunately looks as if he had a good game with 2,000 damage in a Black Prince. But yeah, T29, who did 0 damage, ended up earning more XP than the Black Prince did, who got 2,000 damage. It just shows that when you're playing World of Tanks, damage is really important. Going for an early cap when, you know, there's no chance of losing the game, other than to put pressure on the enemy team, you're just costing the entire team credits. As I say, go through this, these guys got 0 damage, 0 kills, and they still ended up with semi-decent XP totals. This game is all about XP. It's all about credits. You know, you're going to be grinding XP to unlock modules. You're grinding XP to unlock tanks. You're grinding credits to buy modules. You're grinding credits to buy the next tank. And the most efficient way of earning credits and the most efficient way of earning XP is damage. It's just the way the game is designed. So you get a little bit of XP for kills, but not as much as you do for damage. Damage is everything when it comes to XP and credits in this game. And as I say, when you're in a game like this where there are so many heavy tanks on either side, there's so much damage to be done, so many hit points to be taken. Really good game. Detail report shows 20 shots fired, 18 hits, 13 penetrations. Gunny got a little bit unlucky with some of his shots, a couple of very poor bounces. He spotted 3, damaged 9, destroyed 3, did 2,000 assistance damage, so some spotting in the middle of the map, spotting towards the end of the game. He earned 31 base cap points as well, leaving him on 45,000 credits with a premium account. 2,263 on a ×2 left him on 4,526. So yeah, I watched 15 replays this morning. Picked out the 2 I liked the most, that I had most to talk about. I haven't got around to recording those yet because this game from Gunny and the earlier game from Duffman were just too interesting. I was smiling all the way through the AT-15A game. This game from Gunny was just so interesting, so much to talk about. I just had to show them to you. So want to thank you guys for sending them in. Also want to thank you guys at home for watching them. Hope you enjoyed them. I'll see you next time.